And welcome back to Hannity. There is breaking news on the U.S. economy as the Commerce Department announced earlier today that our economy shrank at a rate of 0.1% in the last quarter of 2012. Now, that is the first time a contraction has happened in more than 3 years. And with the unemployment rate still high at 7.8% and consumer confidence now in decline, there was only one way for the Democrats to react, as usual, predictably blaming Republicans. Now, it all started with Jay Carney during the White House press briefing when he said the economy was facing a major headwind, and that headwind being the Republicans in Congress. And moments later, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi released a statement saying, quote, "Today's disappointing GDP report is a direct result of the economic uncertainty created by the House Republican strategy of obstruction and manufactured crisis." When are they ever going to take blame? When will Nancy Pelosi, Jay Carney wake up, realize Obama now has been in office more than 4 years? Unbelievable. Here was reaction. GOPAC President David Avella and the former Clinton economist at the Harvard Kennedy School, Professor Jeffrey Frankel. Mr. Frankel, sir, how are you? You know,
very good. How are you?
It's worked. They've pulled this. It's Bush's fault, Bush's fault, Bush's fault for 4 years. They had both houses of Congress for 2 of those years. The president got everything he wants passed. Isn't it time for him to put his pants on like a man, sit at the table, and accept responsibility? $6 trillion later in debt, 50 million Americans in poverty, on food stamps, 1 in 6 in poverty, 1 in 4 kids in this country needing food stamps. Is that Bush's fault or is that Obama's fault?
Well, he certainly hasn't gotten everything he wanted passed under the most recent Congress. But first, since that's today's news, let's talk about this number. 0.1% negative per annum. That's, I don't know how much we want to emphasize one number, but that is today's news. We all thought during the last couple of months of 2012 that there would be a lot of uncertainty because of this fiscal cliff that was going to hit us January 1st. It turned out that the biggest effect was that defense equipment purchases fell by 22% in the last quarter. That's the big negative number that's in this morning's news. It's the biggest fall in defense purchases.
And we still have $6 trillion in debt and trillion-dollar deficits as far as the eye can see. So it's not a big cut in government spending now, is it?
Well, that continues the pattern of the last 2 years, which is that the government sector has been contracting and the private sector has been expanding. I was actually surprised in this morning's number that household consumption was up pretty strongly. Business fixed investment was up, especially equipment. I thought those would be adversely impacted by the uncertainty.
But
what happened was that that spending came out of inventories.
People aren't getting jobs, and you're trying to tell this really isn't that bad. $6 trillion in debt. No new jobs, 50 million Americans on food stamps. And liberals are telling us it's really not that bad.
Well, Sean, nobody is advocating that we return to the final years of President Bush's economy. But we can't remain in the Obama economy, which is let's manage every piece of the economy, because it's not working. We have fewer jobs now than when this president took office. And let's be clear about who really is being hurt by this economy.
Wait, it is true. 8.3.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. The labor participation rate, we have 8.3 fewer million Americans in that labor force.
And let's be clear about who's being hurt. Who's being hurt is the working poor who are trying to work their way up the economy. There are no jobs for them to move up to. The long-term unemployed, that there are no jobs for them to go to. For the young person who's just graduated from college and wants to find a job, they can't. So they get to stay at their parents' house for a little bit longer.
Let me ask you a question. It seems definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So we're following Europe's model. We're following Japan's model, stimulus, debt, deficits. Why would we expect a different result following their failed model?
Well, what's unfortunate is the president won't take a look at what Republican governors across the country are doing. 9 of the 11 states who've actually created a net positive on jobs are Republican governors. And why won't this president actually invite Republican governors in and say, look, what policies are you putting in place to create jobs? He won't, because ultimately his ideology believes that everything government can do, it should do, and it should control, and it ultimately hampers our economy.
You know, Professor, you know this, historically, the worse the recession, the stronger the recovery. 4 years, Obama's policies pretty much got what he wanted. It hasn't happened. Why?
Okay, 4 years ago, when Obama was inaugurated, the economy was in free fall. The rate of contraction of GDP was over 9% annualized in the last quarter under Bush. We didn't know at the time it was that bad, but it was. The job loss was 600,000 per month. The financial markets were completely seized up in a way that hasn't happened since the Great Depression, interbank spreads and so on. The free fall leveled off within a few months, and within 5 months the recession was over. All that means is that things were not getting bad anymore, but it's been a long, slow climb out of that. What we've had for the last few years is growth, which is not fast enough, but it's a lot better than what it was when Obama came in.
Professor,
the average growth rate for the year 2012 was 2.2%, and we've had that's been enough to bring down unemployment very slowly, not rapidly enough, but slowly.
Professor,
and if Obama's policies
that Obama said the economic recovery has begun. He told us in 2010 it was the summer of recovery. We haven't seen the jobs created. We've seen record debt and record deficits. We've seen dependency go to all-time record highs, the worst, quote, recovery since the Great Depression. And you're defending this. Do you think it's good that we have 18 million more Americans on food stamps? Do you think it's good that we have 1 in 6 Americans on poverty? Do you think it's good the president has told us again and again that this is getting better and it's not? Tell me where it's getting better. This is not good news for anybody, sir.
So the unemployment rate is coming down gradually. The growth rate has been positive. GDP is going up. You keep mentioning the budget deficit. That has been down as a percentage of GDP.
It's anemic growth, Professor. You know better than that. You've studied history. This is one of the worst recoveries, if you could even call it that. It looks like we may be headed for a double dip.
Well, I doubt that. And by the way, this number is essentially zero. And it means
0.1. That's what it is.
Yeah, at an annualized rate. On average, between the initial estimate, which this is, the advanced estimate, and the final numbers, the revision is plus or minus 1.3%. So there is a 50% chance that the number is going to turn out to be minus 1.3%, and there's a 50% chance that it's going to be positive.
50-50, let's flip the coin.
I'm confident that if when you add together
this
quarter...
All right, well, we'll flip that coin. And for the people that are out of work and unemployed, and we don't even count anymore, and the people getting crumbs in terms of food stamps, good luck to them.
Things are not
$6 trillion in debt. Good luck to your grandkids,
too. Coming down more rapidly. And if Obama's jobs bill had been passed in 2011, it would have.
I know it's Bush's fault, Republicans' fault. This president is blameless. That's pretty pathetic. All right, good to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you.